as a 9-year-old, when sometimes I want him to be much older and much more mature and be able to handle life in a different way because I don't have capacity sometimes when I get home to do all the things that he really needs me to do. And so from that vantage point, I still have to like be present and hit him with the yeah, wow. You know what I mean? While I'm still departing my body and caring for myself so I can come back. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, yeah. So thank you so much for sharing about your experience with your teen and how basically how you handle stress with him and how ways that you basically incorporate self-care into it. So today we're going to be talking about stress. Stress is basically our body's natural reaction to whenever we're experiencing a challenge or a change in our life. It can basically result in many different ways. It could be physical, emotionally, and behavioral. It is important to know that stress does not mean weakness. Rather, it means asking for help. And so, how can that look like in a teen? It's like when your teen is basically expressing signs of stress. What it essentially means is that they're asking for help, and so recognizing that basically will help them build strength. As parental guardian, it's very important to take note that teens' brains are still developing, and so how you handle stress as an adult is going to be different from how a teen is going to handle stress because their brain is still developing. They're still growing, and just there's some certain things that they still do not understand yet. And so as parents, your role is parent and guardian, your role is basically to basically guide them. Sometimes they might exhibit strong emotions, or they can be overly like reactive. um when that is seen, is basically like they do need support at that time, and support doesn't equal punishment. I know there's a whole lot of saying that oh, we don't gentle parenting, and this is not even about gentle parenting. Is basically more so understanding your child or your cousin, your relative, your nephew, or whatever the case may be, where they're at and how to meet them at that moment. So I have a question. So, as parent, as guardian, when your teen is stressed, how do they usually show it, and how confident are you that you recognize those signs? So we can use the chat box if you feel more comfortable with that, or you can come off mute and we can discuss.
So I had come back from a trip, and Braylon was always in the mirror. Like, you would just catch her in the mirror for hours, radio on, FaceTime on. And when I came back from this trip, she was in her bed. So I was like, okay, she's in her room, maybe cleaning. But then it was like 3 hours in her room in her bed. And it was like she just wasn't doing some of the things she normally did. And I was trying to figure out what took place between the time of my trip. So just paying attention to like the visual signs of what my kid normally does versus the patterns of behavior that they're displaying.
That's good. Thank you. Does anybody else want to share?
We have it in the chat. My son has frequent stomach aches and becomes very clingy. Pretty confident because if I ask, he'll definitely tell me.
That's good. Love that. Open conversations. Okay, thank you for sharing. Um, like I said, everyone do experience stress, and so as parents, even as you also experience stress too, also know that your teen too, they will also experience stress too. What stress basically look like for teen emotionally? They can, be irritated. They could have anxious feelings. They could have mood swing, or they could be feeling overwhelmed. Either being sad or frequent crying, um, having emotional outbursts, or having difficulties relaxing. Physically, it could come as headaches, just as one of our members was saying right now that whenever the son is stressed, that they have like stomach upset. That could be also that's also a sign to fatigue, muscle tension if they're planning for exams, and it's like, the thought of like, okay, am I gonna do well? How's this exam gonna be? All of those things. They could also have experience changing appetite too, or trouble sleeping. Some might decide have difficulties going to bed, or they just, or they might just sleep in a lot more than usual. Behaviorally, they could exhibit signs of withdrawal, or being avoidant, or they could have troubles like staying focused or having negative thoughts. And those are basically like signs that one can always notice or look out for whenever a teen is experiencing stress.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how does that work if you just have a hormonal teenager and sleeping is part of that? Or some of these are like more age
Mhm.
appropriate. How do we kind of balance in between that?
So for teens that basically sleep a lot more, and as parent, as you observe that, okay, maybe your teen basically wakes up at a certain time, and but now it's like you're sleeping in more. That's when you want to have a conversation with them, like just to know what exactly is going on with them, not like as a way of like pestering them, but out of concern, like, I've noticed that, you've been sleeping in a lot more. Is anything going on that you want to share? Just keeping that open communication, so that way your child can feel like they can always talk to you about, whatever is going on with them. Hope that answers your question. Okay. And I have another question. Why do you think stress in teen is often overlooked? This is a big one.
So I'm going to chime in.
Mhm,
Um, I think stress in teens is often overlooked. Um, right now in today's society, the whole behavior aspect of teens. Also, you have social media that plays a factor. You
mhm,
have I think I just probably just said society or the community that they may come from.
mhm.
Also, today's adults, even though we are the aunties and uncles, but today's adults don't believe that teens should be stressed, or what are they stressed about?
Yes.
Um, what is another thing? I think it's often the question is why they stressed. They have no reason to be stressed. Although a lot of the teens, when we were teens, some of our friends or peers were stressed, and these current teens are stressed for the same reasons. They probably are having issues at home. I'm probably going a little deeper, but having
Yeah.
issues at home, financial, hungry, taking care of siblings, mom,
Mhm.
dad not there, or being raised by grandma, or raised by another, relative. And so but some of these adults also don't understand the dynamics of certain youth behaviors,
Mhm.
or took the time to understand teens. So the $1 million question is they have no reason to be stressed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. You actually said everything that I was going to say. Because oftentimes when the reason why stress in teen is often overlooked is because one, parents or adults will be like, they're not working, so why should they be stressed? But there are actual society pressure that actually contribute to the stress, like the academics, like for example, exams, or social media, like you mentioned, and having friends that have things that they do not have at that moment. It's like that also contributes to stress too. And so those can go overlooked because then again, they are not working. They shouldn't really be worrying about those things. Rather, they should focus on like, their academics or just being in their good behavior. So thank you so much for sharing. I don't know if we have anything in the chat.
So in the chat, we had the same things that you had, Miss H.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So this basically is just talking about as parent or guardians, how can you effectively respond when your teen is experiencing stress? Number one is to create a safe space for them, avoid judgments rather than, disciplining them. You want to have open conversations with them. I've noticed that you've been quiet lately. I've noticed that you're sleeping in a lot lately. Do you want to talk about it? Can we talk about it? Listen more than you speak, also validating their feelings instead of trying to fix the problem or give them solutions to everything. They teens want to feel like they're heard, especially if their parent is hearing them. Because one thing you don't want to end up doing is basically dismissing their feelings or dismissing that particular feelings that they're experiencing at that time. And so you don't want them to resort to other means in order to basically escape how they feel. And one thing to also look out for is watch for patterns. One bad day doesn't necessarily equal a major concern, but one thing is if it's going on for weeks, months, then that is time to act. That is time to basically, be on their neck, like, oh, what is actually going on? Or maybe not necessarily or maybe like, you want to start looking into other means to help them, maybe changing, it could be changing, creating structure, not like creating new patterns for them. Like it could be giving them like maybe going on family vacations, or maybe not family vacations, but like going out for works and stuff. Another one is modeling healthy stress management. Show them how you cope with your stress. As a parent, how do you cope with your stress? It could be exercising, it could be prayer, talking it out, just doing things that is of good models to them, so that way they can also follow. Because teens, children, they are great imitator of adults around them, especially even their parents too. When should you be concerned? If it's persistent, if you're feeling, you're noticing sign of sadness, just hopelessness, um, talking about self-harm or trying to give up, drastic personality change, declining in school performance. This may basically now, result to you trying to get them help. It could be from a counselor, a therapist, a school professional, or even pairing them up with mentors, like, mentors that are of the basically kind of the same age, but like, trying to pair them up with somebody that can basically cheer them or just be a good role model to them as well. Okay, some techniques could be, practicing self-breathing, basically educating your team. These are ways that they could help themselves release their stress. When to use it during emotional outbursts, or or before reacting in anger, when they're feeling overwhelmed, tell them to, like, pause, take a breath, you know, and so that way that can actually foster communication with them. Second is basically practicing mindfulness. And if you're more so you like to practice meditation, you want to tell them. If you're leaning towards prayer, you can also pray with them or encourage them to also pray. It helps reduce stress, improve emotional control, increases their focus, and also helps them manage thoughts too. Another technique could be light physical activities, like I said earlier, going for a walk, dancing, playing sports, stretching. Maybe it could be a 20 minutes walk or a 30 minutes walk. That would just help them release the emotional tension. Another big one is also journaling. So journaling help. I do take notes, like not just take note, but reflecting on how I feel and all of that. So as a parent or a guardian, you want to encourage that, you just buy them a notebook, like, write down things. How do you feel today? How was your day? What are the, what stood out to you during your day and all of that. It basically helps reduce emotional outbursts and help them express their feelings privately, especially if they don't feel like they want to share that with you yet. And this is also a guide that they could use to just to basically journal their thoughts and to basically help them, write out things that they're feeling. Another technique is also spending time away from social media. That could also help too, because there's a lot of things going on social media, the constant scrolling and all of that. That could also hard on stress. Also, put in social media breaks, setting time limits, avoid screen time before bed. It might sound like, oh, how are they going to do it, but it's like it's something that helps. You can replace it with listening to music, meditation, prayer, taking warm shower, art or creative expression. Limiting social media can also help, like, just silence the noise, like, all the things that is going on, and also help them keep up. He promotes mental rest too. So I have a discussion scenario, and I'm gonna read it out, and you tell me what you think on how you will respond in situations like that. So there's a 15 years old who used to be outgoing, but now is staying in their room, snapping at family members, and their grades are slipping. As a parent, as a guardian, how would you respond in this situation? What might make the situation worse if you respond? Okay. Um,
Howard, check that chat.
yes, I'm about to check the chat. Okay. Okay, yelling will make the situation worse. I will ask about what is going on and how they are feeling. That's good. Vacation, change of scenery. Okay. Placing blame makes it worse. True. I do agree. I do agree with that. And yes, we want to be careful about also escalating the situation or also making them feel worse about it, but rather, like I said, communication is just very key. I just feel like, the youth teenagers of this day is just all about communication, and also having that safe space. As a parent, as a guardian, can your child come to you to talk to you about anything without feeling like, oh, mom and dad is going to react negatively, or is going to make things, they wouldn't listen to me, or they'll make assumptions about how I feel and stuff. So that's pretty good. Okay, this is a self-reflection, I take home. And what is one thing that you can start doing this week to better recognize and respond to your teen stress?
We have look for a change in behavior, spending more quiet time with him.
Okay, that's good.
I think the other thing is recognizing stress. Call it what it is. Listen, I'm having a stressful moment. I don't really know
Mhm.
what's going on. Give me a minute, please. Ask them questions.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you all for participating. This is the end of the workshop. I do have a survey right here. If you can just please take a moment to fill out the survey. If you have questions, let us.
I'm gonna drop it in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Okay, that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having this conversation, for presenting this information. You did such an amazing, amazing job.
Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, please, feel free to ask. But we're about to wrap up too. So
And we do have rolling sessions. So as you saw in the registration form, we are doing this for the whole month leading up to their graduation. So this is helping them build their portfolio. I would like to acknowledge that 3 of us on here are social workers. 2 of us share a birthday.
mhm.
And we have family and friends, and you also have 2 of your cohort members. So it's important to show up for your people. And then Miss Rashana hopped in. She's here on Thursday. Shanaja presented last night, and then we have one more Salome who will be presenting this week. So please spread the word. If you have community members or families who you think can benefit, please have them log on. And more importantly, everyone says we need to be doing the work. We just need them now to show up for the work.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for also sharing the link to your friends, your family, and those that could also benefit from this workshop.